Yes, Dave.
No, it's good.
He wants.
Everybody ready? Good morning.
Morning, Sarah.
There's no guest yet, so speak honestly.
All right, remember to do, please remember to do your evaluations, hopefully before you leave, so Lisa has them. We will
Notice
start.
there's no valuation of Nia.
I don't think so, but.
Right in on the back of the page, please.
The whole bit.
So don't do the state one and write on the back of that one. Use the other ones.
Really? The state, it goes to the state?
The state will go to the state.
Yeah.
Thank you for looking it up.
Not a problem.
All right, we will open with CRC Audit Committee. Do I hear a motion about the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have the audit engagement letter. Mike, do you want to explain anything about that, or?
It's the same as last year. I'm sorry. This is, gotta remember, this is the county idea. All right, we have an audit letter engagement draft proposal from UHY. It's for $9,600. Last year was $8,000.
CRC.
Oh, CRC.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's 31.
It's 31. It's the same. This one, it was $2,500 last year. They've gone up $600. I call it creep. And why we're talking about it, on the county IDA, it was 8,000 and they went to 9,600. The
20% increase across the board, basically.
yeah, and the difficulty is,
Good morning.
and we looked at what RBT, the former where Vic Churchill is, Mike Totoro bought that firm.
Yeah.
And they're at, for the city IDA, they're still at 6,000. And so, I'm sorry, they're at 8,000. So, the question is, do we go back and, talk to UHY and say, city IDA has much more activity than we do. And, it's gonna be 20% more. It's nickel and dime. 600 here, 1,000 there doesn't seem, I guess, to, ebb up, but at a certain point,
It's
you're
really
gonna have to
creep,
go,
yeah.
to market.
Well, I agree. 20%'s not even a creep. That's kind of junk.
Yeah. So I think that,
Maybe they want us to move.
well, frankly, I think the issue is, as these firms aggregate, the overhead gets, it's a higher overhead. And, I think that, and also what happens is because they have all of the second and higher level resources, if some issue comes up, they pull somebody else in. And you're getting billed for something where if it was a sole practitioner, he'd wing it, or she would wing it, not wing it, but they do their best and get 85% on the test. But, and because they have all the experts, they bring them in because they don't want to wing it. They don't want to go ahead and make an opinion and then find out that they should have asked someone else. But, one way of doing this would be to ask them to cut the increase in half and authorize me to. And so now they're going to say, oh, you're doing this for $300 or you're doing this for $500, but we either do that or we tell them that, okay, we'll do it this year, but we're going out to bid next year.
When was the last time we went out to bid? It was
I
every
don't think
3
we
years
ever-
or something?
My understanding.
Well, that's everything.
No, it's very inefficient to go out to bid because the people who are coming in have no idea what you're doing. But at the same time, we've had no activity in this IDA this year. And,
Yeah, this one's really hurting,
and,
the CRC particularly.
well, CRC so I think I may go,
I move that we authorize Mike to go back and share it with them.
and find
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
and it's more the principle.
Sure.
Because it's not, you're gonna squeeze this for $300.
Yeah.
But, and it's going to be a bigger issue when we get to, the $30,000 CEDC fee, but, anyway, that's a complicated.
Are you okay with that?
That's a CEDC is much more complicated, so.
All right, so we actually need a motion for the engagement letter.
I mean, we accepted and authorized Mike to go back and negotiate half.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Have any public comment? Do we have any public? No, hearing none. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's audit committee. Now, regular meeting, we'll open that, and we have the minutes of October 3rd.
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report.
You can see, we are, no real change since, our last meeting, as a result of the fact that the expenses for CRC are insurance and, audit fees, and, they were all incurred, in the, first half of the year. We continually have the discussion, should we stay in business? The real issue is we're staying in business for the hospital. Because if the hospital decided they wanted to do bonding like they did previously, we would be able to be here and help. I suppose we should evaluate, if we weren't here, who would they go to? And how could they, bond a parking garage or bond a office building or bond a medical care facility. Those bonds were paid off a year or two ago. So I guess, is it an insurance policy that CEDC is paying $5,000 a year to sustain? Because if you let it, you close it down, you never get it back. The Senator Scott is opposed to all these.
Right.
And you need a legislative enactment. I would say let's do it one more year, but in that year, I was hoping that there might be some opportunity, because as you know, this is for not-for-profit financing, that the Shaker Museum or some of the larger arts and cultural projects, and it may be that it would be more beneficial to go, because if you could get tax exempt financing, you could get a lower interest rate. When interest rates were low, it didn't really matter. But on the flip side, if the deal isn't more than $10 million, the cost of the financing and the legal work for a tax exempt bond is inefficient for a project of that size. So, and it's really a CEDC question whether we fund it, but I'm going to recommend to the CEDC board that we do it again. And I think perhaps the real answer here is, the insurance is the insurance, and I think we need to be sure we have that as having volunteer board members. You don't want to be in a situation where you're having any exposure of any kind. And on the audit, I have to maybe sit down with them and see, maybe we get half of the whole fee, or because what are they auditing? They're auditing $5,000 in and $1,500 out and their fee.
The phase 3,100.
I'll do it.
And maybe that's some of the compromise.
I just had another thought, Mike, just for
Yeah.
next year, because we did talk to Joe Scott. We definitely, we will lose this if we get rid of it. I'm just wondering, at what level the hospital provides sponsorship to the CEDC? Because, you know, you could have a conversation with the hospital about maybe what their long-term objectives are. If they think they're gonna have a major capital project in the next 5 years, and it may be that there's a sponsorship opportunity to the CEDC.
Well, you know, I do think that.
We were holding it for their benefit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Have we marketed it to other nonprofits though? I mean, the
but-
hospital is one big one, however,
Well,
there's a ton
the
of
issue-
nonprofits.
The issue is, other than a nursing home,
Size.
the size, the transactional size, it has to be $8 to $10 million. Just
Yeah.
because, but, you know, we did send out a letter to the 10 largest not-for-profits. But I don't see, in this economy, I don't see any of them really, this Shaker Museum project's kind of on hold.
That'll be a while.
But, you know, I wouldn't want to make it a quid pro quo with the hospital. We have a good working relationship with Dr. Urchel and with Brian on our board. But, you know, I think it's a good idea. We certainly can talk to them about, you know, what are your capital plans? And, you know, we'd hate to keep it going and then have them go to do something and say, oh, we never thought of using you. We're using
yeah.
Right.
their stars.
Or we decide to close it, and then they
They
say,
have
well,
to.
why didn't you tell us? You know,
Yeah.
like at least
Yeah.
you kind
At
of.
least we have the
Yeah, I'm
conversation.
not
Sure,
suggesting
absolutely.
a quid pro quo,
No.
but just kind of like, you know,
They're at 2,500, so
you know,
they're,
we've
you know,
held this for you for
Yeah.
a while, and we're willing to keep doing it unless you tell us.
you don't
we're not.
really need it.
Yeah.
And, you know, okay, that's a good plan.
All right, so I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And the audit engagement letter with the same,
Same,
Caveat
I'll do
that-
the same thing.
I move that we approve it based on Mike meeting with him and cutting it in 0.
and talking to the hospital too, I guess.
And,
All right, all in favor?
Second.
Do we get a motion yet?
No motion.
don't reflect that Muzzy Hall is in the room in the minutes. Let's make a deal.
Speaking to the owl. All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Public comments, so nobody, all right, motion to adjourn,
So.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we get to the IDA Audit Committee agenda. We have the draft minutes of March 13th. They're very short. Yeah. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
March 13th.
Yeah, I guess it was a while ago. Well, we met, but I guess we didn't have an audit meeting.
No, they haven't, we don't
Okay.
have an audit meeting regularly.
Audit engagement letter. What have we got for this?
We accept and have authorized Mike to engage with him.
Yeah, and just to clarify what I said earlier, they're at 9,600 and RBT is at 8,000 for the Hudson idea. So in essence, my fear was if we went to RBT based on them comparing the work required for both, that they might be at 6.
Do they have to review the Hudson stuff too?
No,
Okay.
so it's.
Looking for that price here, let me see it. All right,
Need a second.
was that a motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Public comments? None. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right. Moving right along, we are now at the governance committee agenda. And we have the draft minutes of October 3rd. Do I have a motion to approve? Same thing. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Administrative Director's Report.
On governance, I don't think there's really anything to address. I was quickly pulling up the bylaws here.
Don't forget the E-town.
We do have the,
That's on
exec go through the committee. I think, I guess there are two issues. One is the uniform tax exemption policy that Jessica worked on, and I think Andy reviewed. And also the issue of whether we develop a uniform pilot policy for housing. One of the things that that we've been looking at right now, there are probably 10 or 12 housing projects that have come to light since we've worked on the Board of Supervisors Housing Task Force. Obviously, several of them are in Hudson, but we are looking. And Paul Calcagno is going to, I believe, come to the IDA at our next meeting. And we may ask to have a January meeting depending on the developer's time schedule. But he was able to get the village of Malaysia and the town of Kinderhook to come to an agreement to where Malaysia annexed some acreage in Kinderhook. And he's got planning and approval to go forward with a rental project. And I understand he originally proposed it as a single building, but the town didn't want to have a 50-unit apartment house. So he's now revised it where it's 50 units on, they're 50 single-family homes that are 1,200 square feet ranches. So it's a kind of a cottage development. It enables him by annexing the property to get into Malaysia's water and sewer systems. He's going to do it as a rental project, not as not lots with houses for sale. And it's going to be a 55+ community. There's a project also in Kinderhook.
That's all at market rate, right?
Well, yes, but market rate, where the intent is that because of the size of the units, they'll be affordable, right? I mean, it's, and I think when you look, the market for that type of unit will be less than someone else's plan because of, not that the units will be, but they're gonna be small.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be built to be rented.
And where's this project?
It's basically kind of behind Mario's and just south of the former Grand Union Plaza, John Block Plaza.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's another
Behind
project,
the water tower, kind of. There's an entrance down in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
there's another project of 20 acres where they haven't really conceptualized it yet, which would be affordable. And there are various programs that relate to affordability, and there is a program for home ownership where you can get $100,000 from the state towards the construction of a new house. So
Where's that?
that's not yet, that's not a place where we can identify it yet. They haven't gone to the planning board, and I don't like to get out ahead of the town supervisor knowing about it, but I can talk to you later. Then there's the Conecuh School District. They have 9 acres across the street from the school that was donated to them for athletic purposes. They did go back to the family that donated it to them 10 or 12 years ago. And the family is people who actually donated it are still alive. It's not their children. And they're willing to amend the restriction or waive the restriction or release it if it is for affordable housing. There, they would either lease or sell the property to a developer who would own and operate apartments. The theory there is that they would like it to have a preference for their employees, but we haven't advised them that there's some fair housing issues when you do that kind of a thing. One thought I had was if you have a lease, you could give them and credit against the rent if you hire, if the person was a school employee, but then the other people in the union would be complaining that you're subsidizing their housing and not mine. But, I think CDC has spent $2,500 to hire Crawford to work with the school district to see what a footprint would look like. And also, would it be possible, based on the fact that there's a lower enrollment at the school, could the wastewater and well system at the school provide water and sewer for the project, and therefore make the cost lower to the developer? There's a project in Hillsdale that's it's a property that's in an estate. It's not clear. Looks like people are competing to purchase it so that they could look at housing, but until someone buys it, for sure, we get into a discussion with them. And then there's the Rojam School. The difficulty there is that it's been empty for so long and no one has gone in monthly or weekly to see what's going on. And where the newer building abuts the older building, I guess there's a roof leaked. And there's not only significant asbestos there, but there's also a lot of water damage. So making it very difficult for a developer to make the numbers work unless it's truly low income or senior subsidized housing. And one developer really liked that site because there's 30 acres of land in the back. And he was anticipating that they could do some single family homes and condos and use the sale price of the land to subsidize the completion of the main building. The town of Copay put out an RFP for a hotel developer, but the people who looked at it, not only did they see the same issues with respect to the cost of renovation, even with potential historic tax credits, but it's too close to the road. It would have to be, a very upscale spa type resort, and the first thing you'd have to do is put 40-foot pine trees in front of the building to, give it a sense of if you weren't going to the
Yeah.
sanitarium.
Your old
There's
Harvard.
no historic implications for that building, though. You can do anything you want.
Was that the one that was just the paper that they gonna tear it down?
Yeah, well, they didn't, there's no one, the people who own it want to sell it. It's still in the market for $6 million.
Yeah.
It's a group in New York City. Then we have another project. People are looking at the ShopRite. We've also been in touch with the people, the broker, Peter Struzzi, who has the listing for the Flanders building. But that's for a sublease. But it's not inconceivable that someone coming in there would need to, they're going to do a 10, 20-year sublease, might need IDA assistance for retrofitting and renovation. And we're still waiting to hear more on the hotel or the apartments in Greenport. That they did have an issue that potentially had to be litigated. I don't have an update on where they are with that. And finally, we had a group come in 2 months ago on the WIC, and They were, one gentleman from New York and a representative from the pocketbook factory. The gentleman from New York was going to be the manager of the hotel at the pocketbook factory, and they were looking to buy the WIC to kind of give themselves some additional critical mass to make his job easier. Apparently, when they went back to Marriott did an inspection and wants a significant amount of 5-year upgrade renovations to the WIC that resulted in some renegotiation where the current owner agreed to some concessions, but not sufficient enough to entice the developer to go forward. So that option expired. There is another developer looking at the WIC, but it's not under contract yet. So I would anticipate if they do get it under contract, that the developer who acquires it will begin to ask for the same approval that you gave to the group.
Do they pay a franchise fee or something like that to Marriott?
Yeah, because to get in the it's really to get in the reservation
Right.
system.
That was how it was sold, but can't they just tell Marriott to screw off and get a new one?
I guess it's really, if you're a new owner, you're probably nervous about doing that. Because now, there's some theory that they're booked enough now that people are aware of who they are. And I guess that would be an option, but, I think there's still.
That's too bad. So that all fell through.
Yeah,
But it'll be back. And because, Redburn is in the apartment business, and they want to get out of the hotel business.
Yeah.
They're not gonna.
That's their only one, right?
Yeah, it's their only hotel. So, it's, again, a lot of moving pieces, but in this economy, the pocketbook factory is moving forward with their financing with EB5 investor money and PACE energy funding as opposed to using a bank. And, the EB5 program is foreign nationals are able to contribute, if you invest $500,000 in a designated EB5 investment firm, you get a green card. It's the closest thing to plenary indulgence is since the Middle Ages. But, and in fact, the EB5 entity I set up when I was at CEG, and Ken Raymond from Prime Properties ran it, and he sold it to a group in Texas because it covers the 8 counties in the capital region. And so, when we start looking at it, they said that they could get the interest rate down to 6 3/4 to 7% with this type of, because they're bringing in equity, not debt. And they were struggling to convince a traditional commercial lender to loan on a hotel.
So the city of Hudson did not have to vote on transferring the IDA. It was just the county. Is this the first time this has been mentioned publicly?
No, we had it at the last meeting. I think you approved it at the last meeting.
No, of them pulling out.
On the WIC. Oh, well, yeah, I think it's on the street, but
I hadn't heard. I'm just, God knows I'm on the street. I'm kidding.
I think my point is that they told us that when I asked them for an update in anticipation of this meeting, they said that the group that came to see us was no longer in line to purchase it, and I felt an obligation to report that.
Thank you, yeah.
So, Carol, are you there?
It's interesting, I read the article in the Business Review a few weeks ago with the Redburn partner, and he clearly stated in that article that he's basically focused on individual projects, and I wonder if their partnership is going to actually be continual or not, based on what I read in the article.
But Jeff Buell is a bit of a outlier. He started his career with Walter Ussolini, and they did apartments. John Blackburn and Tom Rossi were the 2 original Redburn partners that we dealt with on the hotel. And, I think they brought Jeff in to help them think out of the box, and he's been very effective for them, but I think you're right.
Yeah.
He,
He's the same.
he's a guy we would all like to be. He took a month and just got in the car and drove without any plan, other than he was going to find himself to the West Coast. And every place he stopped, he would engage, I was going to say old ladies, but women my age, in conversation in a diner, and then he'd blog it. And I mean, he's a great guy. He's a very free thinker.
And planners, absolutely no wiggle room on the sale, or they want to lease.
Well, the issue is, the owner has 10 years left on the existing lease. So the owner is saying to the tenant, which is a global company, keep paying us. Now, I would think that if Flanders can find someone who will sublease it with a 10-year window, it might make sense for someone to invest some money in the building. On the other hand, if they come up with someone who's willing to buy it at a price that present values out the lease, the building owner may sell it. But, they're not going to let Flanders off the hook with an existing lease. I mean, you could have a situation where they can't find a subtenant, that Flanders has to pay the rent for the next 10 years.
Who owns that building?
It's actually,
Is it local?
no, I knew their name. I'll tell you, it's a real estate investment trust that owns billions of dollars of similar properties around the country. So, they're just, don't stop paying.
Yeah.
And, they have it all. I'm sure it's all layered, so, and depending on what the lease payments are, it may be above market, it may not. So it's hard to tell, but they did bring in, one of the larger upstate commercial brokers to market it, and so it has gotten some play.
So, one question back to the Valatia deal. Is that the same gentleman that had the property in town that burned?
No, Carmine?
No, this is
No,
Paul
that would-
Compacto. He owns the bagel shop in Hudson.
He owned that building,
He did own the building that
the
burned.
one that burned.
Yeah, and we had a loan with him.
We went along with him at
Difficulties?
CEDC, and there were some bumps in the road when he was getting the bagel business started, but, he caught up and he did pay us off.
Okay,
It
The
was,
building burned.
it was across the street there.
It was an original.
It was Rob Lagonia's
It looks
gonna
sort
go
of
in there,
like the
wasn't
one
he?
that he
Rob
replaced.
Lagonia was going
And
into the
Valatia?
restaurant.
Yeah, it was an old butcher shop at one point.
gotcha.
And it
Old building.
Open.
So bagel time?
In Kent Rock.
No,
No,
what's
it's a
the,
bagel
what's
place.
the bagel place?
Oh, on the corner, retail space. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of that.
It's a nice
He
place.
did a lot of
It is a nice
apartment
place.
renovation in,
Yeah.
the prime village of Kinderhook area. And, I do think that, and we did meet with Labellas this week. They're gonna be coming in. They're working on their application now. It's going to be approximately $9.5 million project. And, they have bank that they're in very, serious conversation with. They're looking at doing a portion of the project with traditional debt and then the other with 504 SBA money.
Where?
It's in.
Oh, where they are now?
Across the street.
Across the street, next
More
to the bank,
circle,
right?
Yeah.
Just north of the circle.
Yeah,
On the west side.
Yeah.
so,
Right, they're next to Hannaford's now.
and they have all their approvals. And, one of the issues that we've discussed about that project is there is a restriction on IDAs about doing retail. And unless you meet certain criteria that allows for an exemption from that restriction. When Jessica had contacted a consultant and they did an analysis that based on several of the exemptions that they qualified. What I spoke with Andy about this morning was we really want to have Joe Scott, who advises us on some of the technical IDA rules, to give us a clear indication that he's comfortable giving an opinion on that, so we don't take Labella down the road, that this is gonna be $1 million of benefit to him in his financing, and find out that, at the end of the day, there's an objection. Basically, he would get a 1.25% mortgage recording tax exemption. He would get an 8% exemption on eligible sales tax construction items, and he would get a pilot agreement. I don't have exact numbers for this project, but when I've looked at a hypothetical $10 million project, which this is close to, with a $800,000 mortgage, you got just under $100,000 in mortgage recording tax. They say 60% of a project cost is subject to sales tax on construction. So 6 times 8%, 6 million times 8% is 480,000. There's about $250,000 on the standard pilot that goes down 50% a year, depending on the assessed value. The assessed value would be based on doing an appraisal as a going concern. So it would be discounted cash flow analysis as opposed to a construction cost analysis. When we did that on the pocketbook factory, they put $25 million in the project, but the assessed value based on a discounted cash flow of running a hotel and running a office building was $6 million. All in, $750,000 to $850,000 benefit in return for a $100,000 fee. So, I don't want, and it's a very tight project because of the escalation in construction costs that have occurred since he's planned this. And so I want to make sure that we don't mislead anyone into a situation where at the end of the day, we can't deliver. But the County Board of Supervisors have authorized CEDC to submit a application for a $350,000 grant that he would get for equipment. And they were very supportive of it. No one came and spoke against the project at the county hearing, and they're finishing up their work with the planning board. So again, a lot of moving pieces, but in this economy, it's going to be hard to see what strikes.
So we have two policies and a contractors. Are there any changes in those? The draft
This
revised
is what we
uniform?
picked up at the last meeting. So I worked with Jessica. There really weren't any substantial changes.
It was basically cleaning it up, getting it retyped.
Yep.
Reviewing it. But again, it does open the idea, several IDAs around the state have gone and done a pilot policy specifically for housing. And we'll look at several of those and bring them to you.
And it does, we also have the retail sales policy. I think the important thing for this board is it's that you may, it's not that you're required to. So you still ultimately have ultimate discretion on that. But as we talked about, I think at our last meeting, it really is an appropriate time for us to move forward because we don't have projects. So we use this period to have our policies kind of reviewed, updated, and we can put them in place so that, you avoid any optic that you've created something because you don't have any real pending applications. So it's a pretty appropriate time to work on it.
You bet. Vice chair.
I'm vice chair.
Yeah, vice chair.
Yeah. I've been vice chair for a while.
So if you don't have any questions, we recommend that you
I move we approve.
Well, there's a lot crossed out in the one with the county, I think.
Did you miss, we modeled it after that.
Second motion.
Oh, so it went down from 24,000 to 12,000.
Well, that's
That's
the,
a second contract.
yeah, that's the
Okay.
second
contract, yeah.
That's the contract with the IDA and CDC. This is a policy
We're doing the new stuff now.
for our uniform tax exemption policy.
Okay, so we would vote on all these three separately.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the draft revised uniform tax exempt policy. I need a motion and a second on that.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Now, the uniform criteria policy.
Again, that's, we have to go through a checklist with the applicant at a public meeting. And to have this, it basically follows the provisions of the statute. And it's very helpful because when we had, as an example, at the city IDA, objections to the pocketbook factory project, the objections had nothing to do with what IDA responsibilities were. And it enabled us to go through the statutory criteria and respond to each of the issues that they brought up. You recall, I mean, one was they wanted the developer to put 10% of his gross revenue into the new city housing trust fund. Well, you don't make 10% of gross revenue in a hotel. So you wanted them to create a fund that would cover the costs of any legacy neighbor's tax increase resulting from improvement in the neighborhood resulting from the hotel being located there. I said, well, when they sell the property, we can give them back the premium with interest because you got the appreciation. But none of that stuff had to do anything with an IDA. So, you know, this gives us the opportunity for the public to understand what the criteria the state has established through the legislative process that we operate under. And it's clear and it gives almost a checklist. So we ask that you approve that as well.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then the CDC IDA contract.
I think we talked about the fact that, you know, I'm proposing that we reduce or that we modify the structure. That right now you're paying us $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year. You've been doing that for many, many years. Long before I came. And what we do with the city IDA is we have been charging them $10,000 a month. We're moving to $12,500. And we then get 10% of any fee that you collect on a deal, up to $10,000. So we're basically asking you to pay us a base fee of $12,500 a year to do the administrative work whether we have a deal or not. Then if there's extra work because of the deal, we would get compensated. And you know, I think that what I'd like to do is two motions. One is to modify it so it's pay as you go more than you know. And the deal you have with us now is to the extent that the fees over $150,000, we would get 10% of that. But this way, you're paying less because you know you'll go broke here. If we don't get a deal this year, we're not going to be paying a cent. So I would rather have us getting a base fee and then a percentage if we have the extra work that comes with putting the deal together. Sure. So But what I'd like to do is two amendments, or one amendment to the existing contract, to amend the existing contract to reflect this new payment schedule. So that they'll only take $12,000 this year, because we're accruing it, and we're up to $22,000. And you're not gonna be able to pay that. And I don't want someone looking at the annual financials and see that, you know, the county IDA owes us money, or show on the county IDA's books that you owe us money. Especially since we haven't had a deal. So the first motion would be to amend the 2023 contract payment structure from $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, to the $12,000, and 10% of anything we collect, but there's not gonna be anything collected this year. That way I can go back. I was just going to do that, but the accountant said I had to have a resolution to amend the contract. You know, I think that that's much fairer to the IDA, recognizing we're an affiliate organization. And at the same time, if we have extra work resulting from the deal, we either get paid for that or we get a little kicker for it.
And we can do that in 2023.
Well, this just says the agreement's made for next year.
Right, but I also want to amend
For
this year's as if this had been in place for the whole year.
And do you want it at 12.5, Mike, or 12? Because going forward, it's 12.5.
We can do it at 12.5. Again, I think,
And then it'll have to go to the CEC for approval. Yeah.
if we look at your,
You think
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, haven't we, previous years?
well, going back to the days when Sid Richter was here, thinking we were overpaid, but no.
Yeah, I'm seeing some old names on here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not seeing where it says,
We don't have two
Retroactive.
agreements there, but,
Yeah, the
This is
first
the
motion would be to just
agreement
amend
for
the
next year.
existing agreement.
okay, for
And
next,
then there'd be one to approve this one. So it's two separate motions.
So you need a motion.
Yeah,
I just see one
because right now,
agreement here.
there's only one agreement.
Yeah,
we didn't draft the other one yet.
okay.
We didn't draft the amendment, right? We got the agreement.
So this agreement is for 2024.
Correct.
They were voting on
And
here.
the good thing is right now, your balance sheet shows that you owe us 20 grand. And so that'll improve your balance sheet a little bit. And, you know, and then it makes it competitive for us. If we know we can get 10 grand because we close the deal, we get hungrier.
But then the other agreement for retroactive, are we gonna vote on that?
Yes, and then we'll draft it up and you can sign it.
All right. I'd like to see it written first.
Well, it's gonna be.
Just
the
going to
same
say,
thing.
it's going to say that it's going to be a one-page amendment that says,
Okay.
the EDC and the IDA agreed to delete paragraph 2 in its entirety and replace it with this language that's in the new contract.
All right, everybody clear?
So moved.
All right, well, first we'll do the CDC IDA contract, the one we have here.
Okay. For 2024.
Gotcha.
So motion is second on that.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Now, we'll vote on the amendment for 2023
I move we authorize
as
redo.
proposed. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion to adjourn. Anything else on that? Public comment? We don't think we have any public yet. All right.
Motion.
Second.
Yeah.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I think
Yeah.
I mentioned at the CDC board meeting, but there were 15 applications from businesses, not-for-profits, and local government for the Governor's Regional Economic Development Council awards this year, and 12 of them were funded. Greene County had 3, Washington County has 2, Warren County has 5. And, there's not that we were involved in all of those applications. We did provide letters of support for most of them. But, I think it shows that there is an economic vitality here that doesn't exist in the other 3 ring counties. Obviously, Albany, Rensselaer, Schenectady, and Saratoga are in a different, economic circle. But, we were very pleased with the outcome of that.
Mike, does it make sense for us to stay in the capital region? Do we have any say in that? Or
Yeah,
whether the
because
Hudson Valley?
if you get in the Hudson Valley, you're gonna compete for money with Westchester. We can carry our weight here. Where if, it's kind of like, you'd have Dutchess and Westchester. I mean, and if you look, I guess the real answer is when you look at, we got, $8 million in ARPA money. Dutchess County got $183 million in ARPA money. So you'd have these large populated, high budget counties competing for money, and we'd really be the poor stepchild. Where here we can compete more equally. It's hard to compete with Albany and Schenectady and Rensselaer County, and Saratoga. But, at least, there was a time where Fulton, Montgomery, and Schoharie wanted to be part of the capital region instead of the Mohawk Valley. And I said, you're much better in the Mohawk Valley because you're all equal. You're all about the same size. Oneida County is bigger, but
Yeah, right now, it seems we're kind of the favored stepchild.
no, I mean, I think, it's
Getting a lot of
Cinderella.
good application.
Cinderella, yeah, we're getting a lot of press.
I do think it's, we, as an organization, play regionally. And it takes some extra time, but, it does seem to work. The other,
We'll know next year when the awards come out,
yeah.
if there's any backfire or what.
The other thing that we're doing tomorrow, Carl Florio had asked me if I would be willing to convene a group of foundation executive directors for the purpose of just having a free-flowing discussion about what they do. And would they be interested in identifying some type of a transformational project where by having them all contribute to a pool that, instead of you giving 50 grand to childcare and you giving 25, see if you could, get some economies of scale. So I invited the Bank of Greene County Foundation, Berkshire Taconic, Columbia Greene Community College, Columbia Memorial, Ellsworth Kelly, the Francis Greenberger Foundation, the Fund for Columbia County. I have them twice, no. Galvin Foundation, Hudson River Bank and Trust, J.M. Kaplan, which is Joan Davidson's foundation, the Spark of Hudson, and T. Backer Fund, which is Judy Grunberg's family. Only 2 have not responded, and that was Jack Shearer from Ellsworth Kelly and the Kaplan Fund. So I was very impressed that we were able to get on 2 weeks' notice someone to send a representative. And again, part of our role as a CEDC is to be a convener and an aggregator. Charles didn't necessarily want to call the meeting. He wanted people to feel they came to the meeting as equals, and that he wasn't, the first amongst equals.
Want to mention to you that I just heard a board of Home for the Aged meeting. And by the way, we're getting to the point where we're almost a foundation at this point now that we no longer have a home. We're buying county vehicles and gonna probably do something for the pharmacy up in New Lebanon. They're coming in next week. But I want to let you know, I heard that Gary Sheffer is going to be the head of the Ray Kennedy Foundation.
Okay.
I heard that there's not a lot left of that foundation, but Gary is committed to rebuilding it. So I thought I would mention it.
Yeah. one of the things is that, we recognize that, we don't want anyone to feel that this aggregation is going to result in giving up the smaller donations to the smaller groups that, $1,500 to $10,000 annual donation from one of these foundations means a lot to some of the smaller charities. And also, I think that certainly that the college and the hospital should be at the table because they're probably the largest recipients of funds from those foundations to begin with. And, there was some people on the list who do more asking than giving.
When is your
All right.
meeting with Laura?
We still have another agenda.
I don't know if we're officially in their meeting here yet or not.
Yeah, we still
What do we have
this
left?
done. This whole.
Oh, full board.
We're-
Oh,
Okay. You get confused when you have the same thing at the committee level as the board level.
I think we seem to be recording, but we didn't
Can we
open the
ratify
meeting yet.
what was done at the committee level and move on?
All right,
You can go.
we are now officially in the IDA Board of Members agenda. Draft minutes of October 3rd. Anything?
I move we approve the minutes as submitted.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Treasurer's report.
We basically discussed that. You have assets of $38,000. You have net income of negative 28, but we're going to credit back $10,000 from adjusting the fee. So you'll be at negative 18. And again, that's just the accounting, minor legal fees and insurance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Audit committee, the audit engagement letter.
We're going to do the same thing. We're going to see what we can get some level of relief from the increase.
I move we approve with the authorization of Michael to negotiate.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Governance committee, the draft revised uniform tax exempt policy. I need a motion, a second on that. I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the draft uniform criteria policy, which we came through the governance committee also. I need a motion, a second. Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now, the DCIDA 2024 contract. As viewed from the governance committee. Again, I need.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, LaBella's project.
Well, and then you want a motion as well, formally authorizing an amendment of the 2023 contract
All right,
to 12.5 with the same language as the 2024.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
all in favor? Aye. Now, LaBella's project.
So we have
And this is
nothing.
all the stuff we talked
Yeah,
about.
that was just reporting.
Okay.
I think I reported on all of those.
Clock
Mike, any-
Estates,
And yeah, clock estates and anything going on at 9/8/66?
You'll recall that we had a gentleman, Steve Matejek, who bought lot 8 at the Commerce Park. He has sold it to, can't get his name right, Lisa, Stephen,
Need a hint.
but he sold it to the guy who runs the business next door to him, which is a
Recycling?
recycling.
Yeah.
And we did carry over the restriction so that, if he doesn't build something on it in a time period, he has to pay the same premium that the take would have paid. I know Amador closed with Bill First, but we haven't heard any more on that property. And there's really nothing left in the Commerce Park And, so, we're-
On that sale, does that, the clock start again when you sell a lot to the next person?
the board voted to give him a year and a half extension. So it's not a full.
Yeah.
And, there's another gentleman from Massachusetts who bought 30 acres just east of the car dealership. But first he wanted to build a Wendy's. I told him, go see the town. I don't think it's gonna happen. But we haven't heard from him since. But he's a developer. He's looking to do something there. But. And with Clock, they emailed me, they want a list, they want to get ready to announce a grand opening in May. And they did receive $275,000 of additional state money as part of the regional council effort. And we're in the process of finalizing some additional grant money.
Okay, anybody have any more questions?
Just one last thing. Have you heard at the CEDC level, anybody on your board or in the public want you to take a stand on this LLC transparency law?
No.
Okay.
And, we're a little different than the chamber in the sense that we're a 501c3, not a 7.
Mhm.
So we're not really able to, we can discuss it, but we can't really advocate it.
Yeah, I haven't really had much activity on it either. I just, over the past couple of days, I figured I would ask you.
And we did have a very good meeting at the college on Saturday. There's a Columbia Forward event that climate change. We had 65 people. And I felt it was a great meeting because no one raised their voice. We had 3 people from each side of the equation. And nobody left in a huff or dismissive of the other group. And I think some people were surprised that there was one person who said, "We can't believe you got those 2 people on the same panel, let alone not attacking each other in a way that was inappropriate." So it was really the supervisors were really happy.
I apologize, I wasn't able to attend that,
That
but
was fine, but we co-marketed it.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to leave early. All right. Any more comments? Whatever, motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah.